Hello friends, good morning. We are now going to discuss with you is that the guideline the government is now going to issue about the reducing the fertilizers, chemical fertilizers into the agriculture sector by our farmers. Why these are government is discussing and the government spares? Because due to this reason, the soil is now degrading. You know, soil is degrading its quality and yielding capacity. So, due to the reducing the yielding capacity, it is uh, uh, diverting and desertifying. You know, converting into a kind of desert. If it is reducing its yielding capacity. So the government is advocating that we have to adopt some new kind of nano urea, a kind of liquid chemical, a nano urea you have to imply for the farmers to reduce the mounting subsidy expenditures and to curb the soil degradation. And the government advocating that we have to adopt the nano fertilizers and natural nutrients, kind of manure which is cow dung, etc. The residue of the agricultural residue we have to use for the natural farming as a natural nutrients. The government will issue guidelines. Government is going to issue the guidelines for launching the PM Pranam. PM Pranam. Pranam, that means the program for restoration, awareness, nutrient, nourishment, and amelioration for Mother Earth. PM Pranam. In the next couple of months. Okay, so under the PM Pranam announced by the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman in her budget speech last month, the states will be provided financial incentive for reducing in uses of chemical fertilizers through the promotion of organic manure, biofertilizers, नैनो यूरिया एंड नैनो डाइअमोनिया फॉस्फेट जिसे हम डीएपी कहते हैं डीएपी diammonium phosphate. Sources said that based on the state-wide assessment of the annual reduction in consumption of chemical oil nutrients through an integrated management system adopted by the Department of Fertilizers, the center will provide financial assistance to the state equivalent to 50% of saving on the chemical fertilizer subsidies. So, the government giving subsidy to the fertilizer a large scale and importing very great extent. So, I think I would say that I was reading a report 1.5 years before, and on that report it was mentioned that if the government is not give subsidy to the farmers urea, that urea 45 kilogram urea will be sold in the market at the 2300 rupees per 45 kilogram. Okay, so if these are now in the market are selling 350 rupees per 45 kilogram, the rest are being beared by the governments as a subsidy. Approximately 1900 rupees are per 45 kilogram is government giving subsidy to the particularly one segment of urea. And basic the many kind of chemical fertilizers, DAP, urea, mm, different kind of fertilizers are being used into the uh, agriculture sector. So if this subsidy gets reduced, the 50% incentive will be offered to the states, as the central government is saying that the total use of fertilizer by the state will be assessed to the average consumption of oil nutrients in the last 3 years. Out of the total grant to the states, 70% can be utilized for setting up the fertilizers production units. The remaining 30% of the grants to the state can be utilized for the panchayats, farmers produce organization FPOs, and self-help groups SHGs engaged in the promotion of alternative soil nutrients use. The annual consumption of chemical fertilizer in the country is 65 million tons. Annual consumption of chemical fertilizer in the country is 65 million, 650 lakh ton. Think about 650 lakh ton. The demand for the soil nutrients is rising by around 1.5% annually. The demand of fertilizer increasing 1.5 annual. Even if we reduce chemical nutrients consumption by 2 to 3% in the next 3 years, it would result as a saving of around 20,000 crore in the farm subsidy, in the fertilizer subsidy. As official told about this, 20,000 will save as fertilizer subsidy if we go through reducing 2 and 3% in average 3 years. Sources said that the use of nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium for the farmers over the last few years have deviated significantly from the ideal NPK use ratio of 4:2:1. This is because of the wide variation of the subsidies provided to social nutrients like urea, DAP, muriates of potash, etc. As officials said that this has led to a soil erosion, rising salinity, and a fall in the overall productivity. If this kind of unchecked urea is being DAP and potash are being used, this is actually eroding the soil and increasing the salinity into the soil. That will result into the reducing its productivity. So a third of the country's soil nutrients consumption are imported. 33% of the soil of the urea, of the nutrients, or the fertilizers, which is being imported into the country. A large chunk of imports, besides the feed stock, natural gas used in urea manufacturing. Because of high global prices caused by the Ukraine war, the fertilizer subsidy in 22-23 has surged to a record $2.53 trillion, 2.53 trillion rupee. I have already told you in my previous videos that the government is bearing so much and giving subsidy to the fertilizers. The farmers pay a fixed price of 242 rupees per 45 kilogram bag, 242 per kilogram bag of urea, against the cost of production of around 2650 per bag, 2000 ₹650 में इस 45 किलोग्राम की बोरी को प्रोड्यूस करने में लगता है। ₹245 की मार्केट में इसे बेचा जाता है। बाकी सारा जो पैसा है, करीब अगर आप देखें तो 2500 और 2300 रुपये, ₹2350 जो से गवर्नमेंट बॉर्न करती है। ओके, गवर्नमेंट से बेयर करती है एज ए सब्सिडी पर 1 किलोग्राम per 45 kilogram bag. The balance is provided by the government as a subsidy in the manufacturing units to the manufacturing units. The retail prices of P and K, phosphorus, potash, fertilizers including DAP were decontrolled in 2020 with the introduction of the fixed subsidy regime is part of the nutrient-based subsidy mechanism announced by the government twice in a year. It would be the third year in a row that the annual budget spending in the current fiscal on the fertilizer would be about 1 trillion rupee marks against a lower range of 70,000 to 80,000 crore in the past few years. So this is the actually news which I wanted to share with you. So we need to go for the agriculture residue. Definitely it will cost great into the production of agriculture, but little bit by bit we have to actually I can say that we can share some kind of natural nutrients and chemical nutrients as well. We have 80% you have to use chemical fertilizer and 20% you can use the manure. It will reduce the cost of the farmers. Okay, and it would be good for the country. It could be for the soil. It could be good for the bit by bit. We have to make the balance so that we can sustain our the soil productivity. Thank you very much.